Okay, let's do Neyo. So
I ain't got much to say about Neyo. Neyo, shut the fuck up. Okay. You do okay. At the end of the day, we know what. Okay,
wait,
go ahead.
dude. So Neil is getting some backlash for a video that he made a couple weeks ago. I'm not even sure who he was talking to. He was talking to this white woman. I had the clip. Do you mind if I play it real quick? I'm gonna play
You can
it.
play it.
And to medicate
parents have almost forgotten what the role of a parent is.
Amen.
It's like, okay,
Lost control.
if your little boy comes to you and says, "Daddy, I want to be a girl," and you just let him rock with that,
Right.
He's 5.
Right. And where did he get that
if
from?
you let this 5-year-old boy decide to eat candy all day, he's going to do that.
Exactly.
Like, when did it become a good idea to let a 5-year-old, let a 6-year-old, let a 12-year-old make a life-changing decision for themselves?
Right.
When did that happen?
Right.
Like, I don't understand that.
Shut your zesty ass up. Okay, now
he asked the right question. When did that happen? Because it ain't happened yet. Like, what Mr. Rogers' magical land of make-believe are they living in? Because that shit is not happening. What are they talking about? Here's the other part of it. Here's the part that I don't think people pay enough attention to, which goes to our white patriarchal society. You notice they always talk about protect the little boys from wanting to become little girls. It's always that. It's never even if I want to go with that narrative, which is totally untrue, which ain't happening nowhere in America. But even if I wanted to go down that road, you know what I'm saying? It's always the little boys, the little boys, the little boys, not the little girls, because we have no problem if a little girl wants to be a man, because the best thing you can ever be in the world is to become a man. There's that thing. The other thing is my grown ass of many, many years can't even go to the fucking doctor right now and say, "Hey, doc, give me some hormones to transition," because that's not how the shit works. Legally, the doctor's going to say, "Here's a recommendation to a psychiatrist, have a whole goddamn psych exam." Before we even, there's a multi-step, multi-layered process before they will even begin anything before they do anything medically, and that's for a grown-ass person. So you talk about 5 and 6 years old, nobody's having 5 and 6-year-old transitions. Hell, we're just trying to get a 5-year, 6-year-old to take a bath.
And at the very least, it is a conversation. And that's my thing. It was so much misinformation that was being spread, and it's Vlad TV. When I first saw the little thing, the logo on the side, I'm like, oh, this is Vlad TV. They always get into these topics, and they always don't really do their research or really say anything that's worth anything on that show. I'm not really mad at him saying that because you get on there. Most people that get on Vlad TV, they're gonna have those viewpoints.
Yeah.
My only issue was the goddamn snarky ass response when he got the backlash. Bitch, you gonna sit there and say it's my opinion, all that. But okay, just like you can have an opinion, everybody can have an opinion to respond to your ass. Okay. And you kept it going. You kept it going because you wanted to. I think it's outrage marketing, because the next thing is he gonna be promoting new music, or he just wants us to, I guess, stream his other music.
Here's the other part of it. Just like, and I mentioned this, I don't know where the fuck I was when I mentioned it. But a lot of black people get really upset when you hear the conservatives and the MAGA people talking about giving false truths and false narratives about black people, and they will fight you tooth and nail. But they don't mind gravitating toward and taking ownership of the same people and their same talking points when it comes to another marginalized group, as long as that helps them feel more inferior and that other marginalized group feel inferior. Because the lies that's being spewed out there by the same racist ass people are the same lies that he is spewing right now on this freaking platform. That same white ass, bigoted ass lady is gonna be the next day calling you the N-word, saying all types of horrible stuff about you, while you over there high-fiving her and amening her, and taking complete ownership of these asinine clearly so untrue, false narratives. None of what they've said is happening. Absolutely nothing of what they have said is happening. And if I was Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union, I would be on a show somewhere, dog walking Neo
No,
for every goddamn thing
pay
he's working. Because
pay
that, to me,
and with that.
he was going right toward. He was calling them out because that bitch can't name me two children that's transitioning. Name me two minors that you know right now that's two. Neo, name me two.
He can't.
Because this just doesn't. Let's be clear. A child who even has that inclination is probably mortified to even bring it up to their parents, much less have a full-fledged conversation with said parent to say, "Hey, mom, dad, I think I want to be,
Well,
a
see,
girl,
they
or,
think that it's the parents. They think that it's the parents in their ear, like, "Oh my goodness, you need to wear this dress, or you need to do this," which is not happening. Like, I
That's
mean,
not how that works.
it's not how that works. And people, like I said, we've had this conversation for millennia. I'm not trying to argue that. I'm arguing the fact that you got mad because people came for your ass. What did you expect was going to happen,
And then
beloved?
you double down and said, maybe the world, we need a world without Neo. Maybe you're right. Well, absolutely, you're right.
Yes.
We do.
Hold
I
on,
mean,
wait. I'm sorry. A child, my brother was calling me and texting me about some bullshit. Y'all was talking about that goddamn Gabrielle, because you was saying something about you want him to hurt a dog. I don't. Okay, I'm sorry. Can I give my opinion?
yeah, you can give your opinion.
I'm gonna share my thoughts. I think that people just need to shut the fuck up and stay and keep their parenting style to their motherfucking self. That goes for Neo. That goes for Gabrielle Union, Dwayne Wade, all of them. I just think that these celebrities need to just keep your personals personal.
But I think that's and I don't mean to interrupt you, but what I'll say is what happened with Dwayne, they didn't put it out there. People gravitated towards Zaya's social media. That's how that initially got out there. It initially got out there because remember when we first saw anything, it was at the Pride Parade. That was the first inclination of anything happening was at that Pride Parade, and people had a problem with them letting it was him at the time go to the Pride Parade. The first inclination of any transition did not come from the parents. People looked at Zaya's social media and said, "What's going on? What is Dwayne and Gabrielle doing to that child?"
Okay,
that's when the media circuit came in and they did all those interviews.
I'm speaking specifically to the shit that Zaya's parents have put out. Like when they introduced her as a trans woman, then they came back a couple weeks later and reintroduced her as a trans woman. When they took pictures of her kissing a trans boy, like why are you posting pictures of your child kissing another child? That's fucking weird.
That's not how that happened.
Was that not
what happened with Zaya, who was a teenager, did like teenagers do, and said, "I got a boyfriend. Let me kiss my boyfriend." And that came out there. Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle only would come out when the outcry would come out, and they would be like, "No, we support our child. That is our," and because the questions would come, but it was already out. It wasn't like they were saying, "Oh, look into our family, come see us. We're raising a trans child."
Zaya posted that.
That was it all, and they had to come out and say, "No, we do support this," because they were being asked questions about it, and people were questioning their parenting.
Yeah, but that's what happens when you're a celebrity. Okay, something comes out, and then now the media comes to you and says, "Okay, so this has happened. This is new. So you need to come on and explain." Now, it's their choice if they wanted to go out and
because people were if you remember, people were questioning their parenting. You had the people like the Neos of the world saying, "Oh, how dare you do this? You a whole NBA player, and you gonna let your son transition? You're a horrible father," and all of that. All of that firestorm started, and then remember, people said Gabrielle Union must be making you do this to this child because child ain't with the mama, and all of that was going on at that time.
She still transitioned. Zaya still transitioned And Zaya's mother was not involved at all. And
Zaya's mother chose not to. Now that's a whole
Yes,
different story.
yes.
Zaya's mother is a whole different can of worms.
Okay, let's not touch on Zaya's mom. That's because you're right. That is a different topic. But I do feel like Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade put way too much information about their child out to the media and to the public. Yeah, I'm sure. I think two things can remain true at the same time. I think
What did they put out though?
a lot, just they just put too much out. It's just like, why do we have to see everything? Like, and again, even if you're saying that, like, oh well, initially Zaya's the one that put it out. I'm only speaking to the shit that was posted on their parents' page, specifically Gabrielle's page. Gabrielle did repost the picture of her daughter Zaya kissing her boyfriend. Gabrielle did release statements about her coming out as trans and then reintroduce.
But what I'm saying is, and this notwithstanding, I just don't think that's fair. That's not a fair statement, because what it sounds like to me, that people say, I'm okay with you being trans, I just don't want to see it.
No,
and I say that because
let me finish, because that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that y'all are raising a black trans woman, who's a child, underage, and she's still a teenager, and so you do have to be mindful. Just like how y'all was talking about with Dylan Mulvaney, and you said how what's the Laverne said to her, like, well, do you think that you might be putting
that's
out?
Because Dylan Mulvaney was showing inside stuff that,
Let me finish. Just like how y'all was saying how Laverne, a black trans woman, said to Dylan, well, do you think you might be putting out a little too much? It's the same thing. Like I think that's a valid critique. Do you think you might be putting a little too much in regards to your child, in regards to this black trans woman, this woman that is marginalized on top of a marginalized on top of a marginalization? Like, yeah, like I do think that that's a valid critique. And what's her name? They've done some problematic shit, bro. Like, let's be for real. What's it called? Dwayne Wade literally posted Gabrielle and them posted, make their child vulnerable to all this scrutiny. Boosie and all them talking about your child's dick and all this other shit. And then Dwayne Wade literally thanked him. Well, you know what? Even though I don't agree with the sentiments, I'm gonna thank him because he still allowed for the conversation to be had. You're literally thanking a man for fetishizing and talking about your child's private area. Like, again, do you think that you might? I think it's a valid critique to say that they putting a little too. I don't think that they're protecting Zaya Wade. I don't think that they're protecting Zaya Wade. The way that they're applauded to, I don't think that Zaya Wade is protected. I don't think that they're doing a good job of protecting her. I will stand 10 toes down in that shit. As a child, as a black woman, as a black trans woman, they're not doing.
I think that I hear what you're saying. I have to disagree, only because I think what happens is it sounds like, hey, you can have a trans child, but that means that if you're going to have a trans child, you better not put nothing out there about them, and that's the only means by protecting them. And I say that because it's when the Dylan Mulvaney is not the same. Dylan Mulvaney is right here showing, oh, I'm taking hormones today. Oh, let me show you these type of underwear. That's not happening. The stuff that Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union are posting of their child is equitable to what any parent puts out there about their child. The child had just like you with your child. My child wore this to the prom today. My child is beautiful. I'm so glad that my child has this on. If my child happens to want to transition and got a boyfriend and they post on their social media that they going to the prom and they want to kiss, you know what? By all means, because had that been Zion and his girlfriend, they would have posted the same thing.
No, they wouldn't.
So
ain't nobody posting.
They would have. That's just something that parents do.
Ain't no niggas posting pictures of their kids kissing and shit on Facebook and Instagram. Like,
yes, they do.
I've seen it before.
That's
They
weird.
do.
I don't care what
They actually do.
I don't care what your gender is. It's weird to post pictures of your kids kissing other kids. I think that shit is fucking weird. And I've never seen that. Maybe
I have. You're talking about. Wait a minute. You're talking about high school students going to proms, and you not seeing them kissing.
I've never
and
seen
their parents not posting it. Absolutely, absolutely. I see it all the time.
I've never seen that shit.
Look on Facebook, child.
Yeah, you must see those because I see it all the time.
The way I was raised I was raised on some old school shit. Like, my parents is old as fuck, okay? My parents is from the South, and my dad is Jamaican, so you can already...
I live in the South. I'm from this, and I grew up in an area... Hold on, what I'm saying is, I grew up in an area where there might be more Jamaican than there are in Jamaica. And what I'm saying is, these same people, Jamaican,
we gotta go order in the court.
These same people post the same things of their children, and that's my point. Let's be equitable.
From an equitable standpoint, from where
if that's the case, say no children. Let's not put Dwayne. Let's not single out Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle. Let's just say nobody should be posting their kids out there, but or putting things out there about their kids. If you're a celebrity.
I agree. Nobody should be posting their children being intimate with other children. It's fucking weird.
But it is a magnifying glass though on Zaya in particular because of her transness, and we cannot negate that fact. Okay,
I'm with you 1,000%.
And no, I'm not talking about you, LTD. I'm saying with you, Medusa. I understand your intentions, but everybody else is saying, "Oh my goodness, this is groomer." Everybody's ready to call somebody a groomer now.
I didn't call her a groomer.
I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you.
Okay,
I'm not saying you.
Yes, I understand what you're saying. Yes, it is a magnifying glass on her, which is even more reason for us to be protective, for her to have even extra more protection on her. I don't play when it comes to kids. And that's another thing. Okay, let's take it back to Neyo, right?
But I want to introduce one part too, because I understand what you're saying, Medusa, about having to protect that child. But another responsibility of the parent is to prepare that child for what is coming. And you can't I understand you said protect, but Zaya is going to be young adult or adult woman, trans woman Zaya. And then as a parent, you're always going to be Dwayne Wade's daughter and Gabrielle Union's daughter. You know what I'm saying? And I can't have you escape that. So while I may want to protect you and say, no, that's going to come out. And I need to start to prepare you for learning how to deal with that, how to navigate the fact that your experience is different from 99.9% of the rest of even the trans community, not just the general population. And so that's a part of it too, because otherwise she'll go into the world and not be ready, and that might be catastrophic.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you on that standpoint, and that's where I was coming from it. Like, when it comes going back to Neyo, because that's who originated the conversation. I don't agree with. I see where Neyo is coming from as a parent, but I just don't think that he has the range to have these conversations. But I will say that, as a mom, a Black mother with a son who's raising a son, a Black boy, if my child was to come to me and tell me, mommy, I don't identify as, I'm a girl, I don't identify as a boy or what have you, I'm gonna protect my child. I'm gonna support my child, but I'm also gonna prepare my child for whatever is in store for them. And so instead of me, just like how as black people, I'm gonna have to eventually have that conversation with Jamal and say, yo, you're not little Timothy. Like your life experience is not gonna be the same as the white children. If my child was to come to me and tell me that they were trans, I'm gonna have to have that conversation with them. Like, all right, I'm gonna respect you as a trans person. I'm gonna support you, but just know I have to prepare my child and know that, like, you're not going to have the same experience as like white trans people, as white women, as Black girls, Black cis women. You're not going to have that experience. You're going to be treated as a black man who transitioned into a woman. Like that's going to be, because we live, that's the society that we live in. And I have to prepare my child for that. You know what I'm saying? So
But I think to me, the scariest part of everything Neo said was Neo saying, I got 5 boys to raise. I got children to raise, because that means your skewed, bigoted, discriminatory views and standpoint is being passed on to another generation. That to
7 of them.
me is the scary part. And for you to look down on people and how they parent as if you are the poster child for right parenting, because, excuse me, really, Neo, really. And so I think that's the scary part. When I look at it, like, sometimes these people are making wholesale decisions about outliers, and I don't want to trivialize the experience of a child that may be trans, but let's be clear: a child transitioning is an outlier. Generally, the only kids that get gender reaffirming medications or surgeries as a child are children who are born intersex.
Oh wow.
Meaning they may have both genitals.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, they may figure out one set of genitals work, the other ones don't, or maybe both work. And then they may have to make a decision on whether or not they want to be one or the other. A lot of times you have parents where they may raise the child as a little girl and come to find out that it's the male genitalia that work. You do have those situations, and in those cases you do. But in terms of little Johnny, if your son came to you today and said, "Mom, I don't feel like," we know kids will see something, say something, you laugh it off, da 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 da. Tomorrow it's a whole different ball game. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Your son wanted to play clarinet this month. 6 months from now, he picked up the clarinet in 6 months. So parents, that's the first part of the parent side, because I think what Neil is addressing the parent part. So I want to talk about the parent. Parents out here right now know they the goddamn kids. They know they children. They know them from the womb. And a parent is not going to be out here going to that is expensive. The other thing is the expense of it too. Parents ain't going out here doing that. I guarantee you it's less than 1% of the people that are actually doing that with their kids. That's the parent part. And the other part that I want to introduce that people never even touch on is the person involved, which in that case would be the child. And as I can't necessarily say that I know what it's like to be a trans person, because I'm not trans. I don't know. But I remember what it was like being a gay boy. And I remember that trauma. And I remember how fearful and how horrible it was to live in a household and be subjected to that level of oppression day after day after day. And the fear that you constantly have to live in. So you telling me that a child is just going to go up to their parent and just say that?
Yeah.
To even be to the point where you want to even cross that bridge in your own mind first. And then once you cross that bridge in your own mind, say that out loud to your parents. You are more afraid of your own fear and safety.
Child, my parents was the last to have known what I had got going on with my sexuality. Let's be very clear. And I'm not saying that in the way of me not trusting them, but like I'm saying it in the like I grew up to have an understanding that everybody hate me because of who I am. So it's like I don't know how you gonna react. You gonna kick me out? You gonna do something? Like I remember I said I had my bags packed just in case.
Wow.
Just in case before I told, because I told them via text. And the shit is just not it
doesn't work. It's not like, and it's so easy for people to make these statements who've never lived in that world of every day constantly having to change who you are, having to imagine you waking up every day saying, I can't be Medusa today, I have to try and be something else. because being something else. I ain't even talking about at work. I'm talking about when you come home, the place where you have to live, knowing that any day if they think the wrong thing, you could be your behind out on the street.
Or somebody will kill you, or somebody will jump you, or something like that. I remember
Right.
the times I was child, the times I was out with my friends, and they was, they was able to clock us. They was able to clock us, and there was 5 of them, and like just 2 of us.
And that's why so many people, you're talking about people in the community that get so enraged when people have this conversation because these are the people who have no clue, no knowledge of the double. Because if you're black to go along with that, you not only have to go with the whole LGBTQ side, but then you got to be black with it as well. Come on, Neyo, you would have no clue, no idea.
And that's why, and when he made his apology, and I'm not a Neo apologist, but he did say like, well, maybe I do need to do some, more research on it and educate myself. And then he continued to double down.
And he took it back. He took it to
yeah, yeah. So, but I will say that, in the beginning when I was first, learning about the trans community, and I did my research and I educated myself, I would see documentaries on trans children, and a lot of them, the parents would say that their kids would cry, like have like full-blown fits about them wearing clothes that they were assigned at birth. So if it was like a someone who was assigned at birth a boy, they would literally have these like traumatic, like I mean bawling, like how kids get when they crying real hard, like, and so I think that's to your point, El Teddy, it's not like one of those things where they just wake up and they're like, I think I want to be a girl today. It's like, and I do think that and I do think that him in the original video when he was comparing it to like, oh well, if it was up to them, they would eat candy. I do think that was an insensitive statement for you to compare them, like it's not, this is like you said, this is a trauma and a fear. It takes a lot. And again,
and kids have more depth than you think. I mean, that's almost insulting children. Children are very intelligent.
And they're very precocious and all of that. Like
and the other part is you have to think that before someone even thinks about telling someone, the amount of what you got to go in your own head, going against everything that you've been taught, knowing everything, but still saying that's not my story. That ain't it. And you go through a whole psychological, meltdown of your own brain, just coming to terms with your own brain. I think when he said to me, you know what I thought about when he said, I want to educate myself, and then it would be like me saying, well, 2 + 2 is 5. But you know what? I need to go educate myself and learn that right. But still, as far as I'm concerned, I learned 2 + 2 is 5, and 2 + 2 is 5, and you can't make me feel like 2 + 2 ain't 5. That's how asinine the shit sounds. That's really how he sounded. Like, I'm gonna go educate myself, but I'm gonna still say all of this wrong stuff. Like, wait, what?
I'll take it a step further, and I'm not even trying to sound like a conspiracy theorist. I think that he saw the success of Try That in a Small Town and how that song went #1 after he done doubled down on that damn song. He said, you know what? I'm trying to get some streams, or I'm telling you, the next thing is going to be he's coming up with some new music. I'm going to tell you right now. I can see it right now. I think this is outrage marketing. I think he's trying to be a clout chaser because you kept it going. You had to have known when you responded the first couple times, people were going to respond. This is the internet.
Maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist. I mean, let's be for real. People have been questioning Neo's sexuality from the jump. And so maybe this was just an opportunity for him to be like, see, I'm not a part of the community.
Super straight.
Yeah, like that's what it's giving.
But I said that today when I talked about Will I Am coming. I said, oh, I like females. I'm just feminine. Bro, if you got to tell us who you like, then you telling yourself, not us. Because we really don't give a shit.
Who are you trying to convince?
Will I Am said that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, girl, nobody's checking for you, Will I Am. The straights can have it. Y'all got him, Medusa. Y'all can have it. We don't want
him. No, we're gonna push him right back to you.
Y'all got him. You can have him.
No,
we don't want him.
We don't want him. No.
Like the girl, who you trying to convince?
But you know what I took it as though. I'm starting to see straight men start to understand that they're not. They don't have to be in the boxes that society places them in. And I think that's where it came from. I mean, I did think that it was genuine. I don't care if he's straight or not. I don't really like him that much. But I think that that's cool. I mean, okay, I get it. There's some feminine men that's straight. I mean, that's the thing. I didn't have no problem with it. There is feminine men that's straight. I mean,
yeah, I'm sorry. And it's kind of like going back to the Wayne Brady thing. Like, I just don't care. I just don't see like this. I understand how you coming out is like was revolutionary maybe like 10, 20 years ago, but like I just don't think it's revolutionary now, especially when there's been rumors that you've been gay for the span of your entire career, Wayne Brady. Like, I think it's a little different if it was like a 50 Cent or something like that. Like, okay, you have a lot of, I don't know.
That wouldn't surprise me either, child. 50
I'm just saying that it would be a little more like, oh shit, because you have a lot of like, but Wayne Brady.
We clocked the T with that Soldier Boy.
Like, I feel like at this point, just live your life. If somebody asks you a question, hey, I saw you over here. That's a long time ago. Try ain't nothing to talk about and keep it the fuck moving.
I agree.